The air in Genoa City had a certain heaviness to it, the kind that whispered of unresolved history and promises about to break wide open. Kane Ashby's unexpected return had already sent ripples through town, but when he stepped into Billy Abbott's orbit again, the tension became impossible to ignore. Billy wasn't a man easily rattled, at least not outwardly. He carried himself with the defiance of someone who had weathered scandal after scandal, heartbreak layered over heartbreak, and still managed to stand tall. But Kane's visit wasn't the kind of casual encounter Billy could shrug off. This was personal, raw, and tied to mistakes Billy wasn't sure he had the strength to face again. The past comes knocking. Kane entered Chancellor Winter's offices with his usual quiet confidence, the kind that never needed theatrics. He didn't need to announce his presence. He had that unshakable energy of a man who knew he carried secrets worth listening to. Billy felt it immediately when Kane walked in. "Didn't expect to see you back in Genoa City," Billy said, leaning back in his chair, feigning nonchalance. Kane's smirk didn't reach his eyes. "You never expect me, Billy. That's why I'm here." It wasn't about business, at least not entirely. Kane had a knack for showing up when Billy least wanted him to, digging into the wounds Billy tried to bury. This time, Kane's words cut straight to Billy's unease. He spoke of loyalty, betrayal, and choices made in shadows. And though no names were dropped at first, Billy knew exactly who Kane was circling around. Lily, Chloe, Victoria. Even Delia's memory hovered between them like an invisible judge. The visit was short but sharp, a reminder that the past wasn't finished with Billy. When Kane finally left, Billy felt unmoored, as though someone had pulled the rug out from under his careful balancing act. He poured himself a drink, always a dangerous sign, and muttered, "Damn you, Kane." Meanwhile, Nick and Phyllis at odds. Across town, another storm brewed. Nick Newman had been patient, more patient than most people gave him credit for, when it came to Phyllis Summers. She was fire, unpredictable and stubborn, and Nick knew better than anyone how her determination could turn into reckless obsession. They sat together at society, Nick's tone calm but urgent. "Phyllis, you have to stop. Whatever game you think you're playing, it's going to blow up in your face." Phyllis rolled her eyes, sipping her wine like Nick's words were little more than background noise. "Oh, please. You're acting like I don't know what I'm doing. I've been fighting battles long before you decided to play knight in shining armor." Nick leaned forward, his voice dropping lower. "This isn't about being a knight. It's about you burning down everything around you just to prove a point."
Diane, Jack, Kyle.
"You're poking a hornet's nest, and when they sting, you won't just get hurt. You'll drag everyone you love down with you." But Phyllis, being Phyllis, didn't listen. She thrived on pushing limits, and Nick's warnings only fueled her determination. She was convinced she could outwit Diane, outmaneuver Jack's defenses, and reshape her place in Genoa City's tangled hierarchy. What she didn't realize, or refused to admit, was that Nick wasn't trying to control her. He was trying to save her from herself. Billy spirals. Billy Abbott tried to keep his composure after Kane's visit, but the cracks began to show almost immediately. He snapped at coworkers, grew restless during meetings, and distracted himself with half-baked schemes to get ahead. Lily, ever intuitive, noticed his erratic energy. "What's going on with you?" she asked one evening. "You've been on edge all day." Billy tried brushing her off, but Kane's words kept echoing in his head. The insinuations. The reminders of choices Billy wanted to forget. "It's nothing," he said too quickly. But Lily knew better. And in the silence that followed, Billy realized that Kane had accomplished exactly what he set out to do: unsettle him. Kane didn't even need to reveal a plan outright. The simple suggestion that one existed was enough to unravel Billy's fragile balance. Nick's frustration builds. As Billy spiraled, Nick grew more frustrated with Phyllis. He watched as she maneuvered her way into Jack and Diane's drama, spinning half-truths and manipulations. At Crimson Lights, Sharon noticed Nick's distracted mood. "Rough day?" she asked gently. "You could say that," Nick muttered. "Phyllis is Phyllis. And no matter what I say, she won't stop until she's burned everything to the ground. I've tried warning her, but it's like shouting into the wind." Sharon smiled knowingly. You've been through this before. You can't save Phyllis from herself. All you can do is step back and decide how much damage you're willing to take along the way. Nick didn't want to hear it, but Sharon was right. He'd loved Phyllis fiercely, passionately, and disastrously. And maybe part of him always would. But loving Phyllis came with a price, and he was starting to wonder if the bill was coming due. Kane's shadow looms. Back at the Grand Phoenix, Kane made himself comfortable in the lounge, sipping a drink like he owned the place. He wasn't back in town just to stir up trouble, at least, not only for the sake of it. He had unfinished business. Whispers of secrets that could upend Genoa City's fragile alliances swirled in his mind, and Billy was only the beginning. Phyllis spotted him from across the room and approached, curiosity piqued. Well, if it isn't Kane Ashby. Stirring the pot already. Kane's smirk returned. Just reminding people I'm not someone they can forget. Especially Billy. Phyllis leaned closer, intrigued. Oh, I like the sound of that. Maybe we should talk. And just like that, two dangerous sparks found themselves circling the same fire, ready to ignite. The calm before the storm. By the end of the night, three truths became clear. Billy was off balance, teetering on the edge of old habits and haunted by Kane's insinuations. Nick's warning to Phyllis had gone unheard, leaving him more determined than ever to protect his family, even if it meant walking away from her chaos. Phyllis and Kane might be on the verge of an alliance, the kind that could send shockwaves through Genoa City. As the lights dimmed across town, the players in this high-stakes game found themselves drifting toward collisions they couldn't yet see. Kane had stirred the waters, and now every ripple threatened to swell into a tidal wave. For Billy, it meant facing the ghosts Kane dragged back into his life. For Nick, it meant deciding whether Phyllis was a battle worth fighting anymore. And for Phyllis, it meant chasing victory so recklessly that she might not realize she was also chasing her own downfall.